Jim Garrity.
Excellent. Get everyone in there. All right. So first up this evening, the Bolton Conservation Commission will now open a public hearing under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bolton Bylaw, Chapter 233, to consider a request for determination of applicability for 22 Autumn Lane, a proposal addition of a deck onto a house. Lauren, is the applicant or a rep for the applicant here tonight?
I see that it was submitted by Patrick Byrne. I don't see him in the waiting room. Is there anyone here representing Patrick tonight? Don't see anyone.
Okay. You might not have known he needed to come. Are you able to pull up their drawings on your screen?
Sure. Okay. So just tell me when you want me to stop, or do you want to?
Sure. I'm trying to see if there is there a GIS map or anything so we can see where the property lies?
Let's see. It might be on their actual RDA application.
Oh, that could be, yeah. I looked quickly through one of them. And
Nope.
Okay. Okay. So, and I guess we can probably table this for a while to see if they show later. My initial questions for other commission members is just, it was a question of, does the deck already exist? Are we putting a new deck on? Is there plans to cover the deck, and just to see where it is? I think it's, in theory, this was in Riverfront or right off of Riverfront. I'm assuming it's going over an existing yard. We just don't have any pictures that show where the house lies, what the condition of the area that's going to be covered by the deck is going to be. It looks like it's going to be a pervious deck. It looks like it's going to be open. Those are just some of the questions I was hoping to have answered and kind of see what the topography looks like. I don't know if people have other initial questions. All right. I was going to say, normally I'd continue it, Lauren, but I'm thinking I might just leave it open for now in case one of the applicants stops in later on, time-wise. I would just ask you, I'm going to make a note to myself, but I'd ask you to try to remind me if we get to the end of the meeting that we would need to continue it. Does that make sense to other commission members? Does that seem like the right way to handle this one? Okay. Uh, 7:05. All right, so we're close to our 7:10, but not there yet. We can jump right to minutes. So the June 4th, 2024 meeting minutes should have been in your packets. Read through them today. I had no issues. Anybody have any corrections, changes, or edits for the 6/4/24 meeting minutes? And if not, does anybody need more time to read through them? Seeing no edits, nobody looking for more time. I'm going to make a motion that we approve the minutes for our June 4th, 2024 meeting as drafted and submitted at this evening's meeting. Do I hear a second for minutes?
Second.
All right. All those in favor, starting with Paul.
Abstain. I wasn't there for that meeting.
Okay. Lori?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
And Lauren, I'm an aye as well. Folks. So I'm just looking through our agenda to see if there's something else we can touch on quickly.
Hey, Brian, I think Kevin McKinnon might be here to represent 22 Autumn Lane.
Aha. Do you want to ask him? Or...
Sure. Kevin, do you want to unmute yourself? Oh, he's having issues with his audio.
Okay.
Okay.
So we can hold. I mean, we have a few minutes now before we can even open the next one. But if he's still working on it, it's not a rush. We can wait until he's ready. We just might have to put him in between two other things quickly.
Yeah. There's also the phone number to dial in too. That might work. So you are unmuted, Kevin, but for some reason we can't hear you. Okay, I'm just gonna forward him the number to call in. 1 minute.
Okay.
Great.
All right. So we'll see if he's able to get back in. Okay. While he's working on that and we have an extra couple minutes, you notice on your agenda near the bottom, there's a vote to release Chapter 61A right of first refusal for 0 Green Road. There's 2 parcels there. I know we've looked at parcels in that area before. This is usually when we would either vote to advance something to say, yes, we have strong interest in acquiring these lands, which would then send it to the select board to see if they would institute the right of first refusal on us purchasing these lands. Looking at them, there is a nice possible connectivity with some of our other trails on one of these parcels. Possibly could be used for that, but for the most part, they don't kind of meet all of the standards that we normally set out. Normally have those 12 things that we're looking for anything that we're going to pursue for conservation land purchase. And again, we've had 2 other plots come up right near these by 0 Green Road. And while they're beautiful areas, it just doesn't check enough of our boxes, so to speak. So this is one of those ones where I would be happy passing on our right of first refusal for this. I know there are other lands coming up that we will be asking for us to accept that right of first refusal. But on these, just they're beautiful pieces, but what they have to offer and what we have in our open space and rec plan is what we're looking to preserve. I don't think they check enough of the boxes for us to really pursue. But curious if others have other thoughts on these particular parcels. Not seeing any strong feelings one way or the other. And again, like I say, every time these come up, we can always find 1 or 2 reasons why they would be great, but usually we're looking at the ones that are going to check 8 or 10 boxes. So on this one, like I said, I'd be happy passing on it. If others are fine with that, I might make that motion. It would be something we'd do in a roll call vote saying that we don't want to exercise that right of first refusal. People comfortable with that? Seems okay.
Sure.
All right. In that case, I'm going to suggest a roll call vote for the release of Chapter 61A land for 0 Green Road. And I'm going to make a motion that we vote to. I'm going to make a motion that we vote to support the release of the right of first refusal for 0 Green Road. All those in favor, please say aye. Starting with Paul.
Aye.
Lori.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
And Lauren, I'm an aye as well on that one.
Thank you.
Look at this, 7:10. So we can jumping back to our agenda quickly, and I have a feeling this one might get continued, but The Bolton Conservation Commission will now continue the public hearing under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bolton Bylaw, Chapter 233, to consider a notice of intent for, a notice of intent for Zero Bolton line. Sorry, we just did Zero Green Road. I was confusing myself, but this is to consider the notice of intent for Zero Bolton line, map 6.A, parcel 19. This is the World Farm property. Lauren, can I ask, is anybody representing World Farm here tonight?
Let me see. I believe Greg was. Oh, is it Ryan?
Yep, Ryan Proctor from Dillis and Roy. I'm here representing the project tonight.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Brian.
So I'll say quickly, there was a site visit. I was not able to go. I think Jim, you got out there as well. It's, this project has come up. It's an interesting project where it's laid out and what it's hoping to accomplish. I've been waiting to hear what DEP has to say. I'm sure a lot of us kind of have. I don't believe we've gotten the DEP comments yet or even file number.
We did about 4 hours ago, earlier
Okay.
this afternoon, actually. Yep.
Okay. In that case, what I was going to say is, would it be possible tonight to continue? I have not looked through that at all yet. And I would imagine most, if any, questions I'll have for you are going to be based off what DEP was saying, or at least I want to read through what they were saying before I can formulate good questions for you.
Okay. If it'd be helpful, I'm happy to go through them. There's 3 comments, and honestly, in my opinion, they're pretty minor. I don't know if that'd be helpful to at least talk through them tonight. That way, if there are any immediate questions, we could maybe discuss them here and have a idea for moving forward.
Sure. Yeah. No,
I'm happy to share my screen with them as well, if you'd like.
Yeah, that's fine. And again, I don't like the 4 hours before the meeting thing. Like, again, we ask for these things 5 days in advance of the meeting to give us, well, me especially, a chance to read through them.
Yep.
I mean, I'd have you go through them tonight, but I'm going to want to read through it on my own. I'm going to want to take some time with it. These are comments that I want to read and see and research on my own.
Yep.
To a certain extent, to formulate decent questions. If you want to walk us through them and give us an idea what you're thinking, that'll give me something to work off of when I try to look and make sense of them myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the record, we've been asking for them from the state for 3 weeks. So we don't like getting them this late to the meeting either. So
I totally understand it.
Yep.
I know you guys have been on it. I know trying this for years. Anyhow, so Lauren, if you could give Ryan permission to share his screen.
Sure. Ryan, you should be able to.
Okay, great.
Yep.
That's good. All right, so I've got the comment email up here. Just for the record, the file number is 1120747. As I mentioned, they did come in earlier this afternoon. The first comment was relative to placement of fill. So the entire site is located within the 100-year floodplain. The 100-year flood elevation is about 7 feet above the farmland. So they just recommended that any excess fill be removed from the site as to not impact that flood storage. Obviously, if the site floods 7 feet or up to that 100-year flood elevation, we have some bigger problems, but that was a recommendation. So we have no problem doing that. We're going to have the farm equipment out there anyway for the install. So that's not an issue to remove any excess material from that site. The second comment was relative to what I just said on the area of ponding. They asked if it was a wetland resource area or a land subject to flooding, which it is both. So we are proposing to have the culverts go just past the farm road and stop basically right on the edge of the bordering vegetated wetland. I did quantify that in the notice of intent. I was pretty conservative with our impact to the footprint of the land subject to flooding. And then the nature of the project, we're basically filling back into the existing grade so that we are not removing the flood storage on the site. And then in addition to the first comment, removing that excess fill will make sure that does not negatively impact the flood storage area. And the last comment was actually on a portion of the site that's in Lancaster. They pointed out that some drainage ditches were installed at some point in the within recent years. And they asked if they were draining jurisdictional wetlands, and if so, has the work been reviewed or permitted by the Lancaster Conservation Commission? I spoke to the owner about these And he said they were installed about 15 or 18 years ago. I can show it on the plan. What I believe they're talking about, between the fields, there is a drainage ditch that runs approximately along the contours. The LiDAR contours kind of line up to it. I think what their statement is saying is whether we're draining this ponding area or portions of the natural river, which are located on the west side of the page. That is not the case. There's no connectivity between the natural river on the left and then the wetlands associated with the Still River on the right. So that was their last comment. And then if I could just add one thing in addition to DEP that we were waiting for, we did receive a letter from Natural Heritage relative to the Wetland Protection Act impact and the MESA Act as well. And in that letter from Melanie Cheeseman, she had said that the proposed project as proposed would not adversely affect the actual resource area habitat. And then relative to MESA, she had said that it's exempt from a MESA review. So we did receive that letter subsequent to the opening hearing as well. Those were the only two new developments since the opening public hearing. I understand if you want to continue and take some time to digest that, but those are what we have at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put out to the commission. I personally kind of do it. Again, it's a weird site with what they're proposing to do, and I'm curious. I know you said you asked the farm, but did you reach out at all to the Lancaster Concom to see if they had permitted this, or if this was an issue with them, if it's something they want changed, fixed, they're fine with, or anything like that?
We're happy to talk to him. We got the comments at 3:30 this afternoon. So unfortunately, yeah. So because of that, we didn't get a chance to. But
another one that made me think I'd probably want to hear from them or have Rebecca hear from them.
Okay.
Their thoughts regarding those. But I appreciate you sharing the DEP comments. I thought they would have more to say. Like some of those flows just seemed. I'm not sure it's going to achieve their purpose with the way the water flows back and forth, but that's not necessarily for me to decide. But I do want to kind of take some time with these, and I would like to talk to Lancaster too, if possible, just to see what their thoughts are, if they permitted things in the past or how they wanted to handle it.
Okay.
But based on what we heard tonight, any initial questions, comments, thoughts from members of the commission? Like I said, Jim, I know you went out there. I don't know if you have any questions on what you had seen.
No, I don't really necessarily have any questions, rolling up to what I saw. Again, I think it's the question is this really going to work, right? Is it going to achieve the objective of what they're trying to get it to achieve?
Yeah, I was going to say, Ryan, I don't know if you can. No, I was going to say I know it wasn't necessarily directed, but yeah. I'm just curious if you have thoughts. Do you think this will drain the way they're hoping it will, or it almost seems like they'll have more water coming, or equal amounts of water coming back in as going out?
Yeah, so I was at the site walk with Jim and Rebecca, so we talked about this a little in the field. During higher storm events, I find it unlikely that this will have much impact, just given how everything floods up. But our thought is that the applicant did get a grant from the state to do this work, and in our opinion, it won't make things worse to add additional storage under the farm road and provide some sort of connectivity between two areas that are already sharing some flow and some stormwater. So in our opinion, it's why not give it a try if the state's on board with it and it's on their land, and that's what the applicant's seeking to do.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Are any members of the public here tonight to comment on this particular hearing, this particular project? I'm not seeing any. Lauren, do we have our next meeting scheduled?
No, we don't. So we have 7 o'clock available.
But what's the date? Was it the 3rd?
That'll be the 2nd, July 2nd.
All right. And 7 o'clock is our first opening.
Yep.
All right. In that case, all those in favor, starting with Paul.
Aye.
Lori.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
And Lauren, I'm an aye as well for that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we will see you on the 2nd.
No, I promise I'll do my homework, Ryan.
No, that's okay. I understand completely.
All right, thanks.
All right,
have a good
thank
night.
you. Yep,
Thanks.
you too.
And Brian, just so you know, Kevin McKinnon was able to connect through dial-in. So I know that we have another hearing at 7:20, so we'll probably have to push his back until we have availability.
Yeah, and it might, well, we'll have to see how long the 7:20 hearing goes, but the 7:30 is probably going to be continued. We can probably, worst case, take it up at that point.
Okay.
So it might be 5-10 more minutes if that's all right. Because as you said, next up, the Bolton Conservation Commission will now continue the public hearing under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bolton Bylaw, Chapter 233, to consider a request for determination of applicability for 27 Millbrook Lane. Lauren, is the applicant or a representative for the applicant here this evening?
So Jeffrey Bursaw is the applicant. I spoke with him yesterday and he was planning on dialing in. Jeffrey, are you online at all? Let me see. Yes. Yeah, nothing's coming through.
Okay. Well, why don't we attempt the same thing? It is opened. For now, we can simply table it. You just might have to remind me at the end of the meeting to continue it if we don't get back to it.
Or if you'd like, we do have the new photos. I think at the last meeting we can't do it because we didn't have photos, so we could at least take a look at those if you want.
Yeah, well, we can, but yeah.
Or we can hold off.
Yeah, well, the only reason is it will allow us to actually see the actual trees that he's proposing. But if we propose leaving one of them as a snag, I'd want their answer if that was something they were comfortable with, or if they said, no, we really can't do that because. So I think it would just be easier if we had somebody.
Right.
So why don't we just table for now, see if he's able to call in, and then maybe we can take it up at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
Because we can always put that condition on, and if that's going to be some sort of issue, yeah, I'm sure there's a way they can either appeal it or we can, we'd have to see. I'd hate to have them refile or something like that. Right. If we say, yeah, you can do it, but you have to leave a snag, and then they can't, and yeah. Okay, so why don't I just leave that one open for now? And if we could go back to 22 Autumn Lane.
Yep. Kevin, are you able to unmute yourself?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Great. Awesome.
So, I guess my initial question is looking at your plan for the deck. Two things. One is there already a deck off the back of the house? Is this like an extension?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, there's already a deck there. What we're trying to do is to extend it not outward but sideways. If you're standing in back of the house facing the deck is in the far left corner, and we want to take it to the right about another 12 feet. Right now it's 18 feet wide, and we want to make it about 30 altogether, which I believe is kind of going a little away from the wetland more.
It would seem so. Sorry, I'm just trying to pull up. The one thing we didn't have was kind of a picture of your house. I'm just pulling it up online to try to get a satellite view.
I have the GIS pulled up right now.
Do you?
I heard you talking. I just don't know how to show it to you.
I was gonna say you wouldn't be able to necessarily. Yes.
But the way I'm looking at it, the existing deck is closer to the wetland.
Yep.
And the addition that would be adding on it is kind of going away from it.
Right, and you said it's just the width along the back of the house. It's the length of the deck, or how wide it is, or the length along the back of the house. The width is not changing.
Yeah, it's not going out any farther, like towards the wetland, like straight back kind of thing. It's going like along, like attached to the house, like just continuing.
Yeah.
Not getting any deeper.
And I say you put in all the I can see all the plans for the type of pilings you're using. Those are great. It's a pervious surface.
Yeah.
Any plans to cover the deck?
You mean like put a roof on it or something?
Correct.
No, no plans for that.
Okay. And the area that you're proposing to put the deck where it's going over is currently as existing lawn, basically?
Yes.
Right. There's nothing we need to terraform, remove, take out. It's just kind of going over what you already maintain as
No.
lawn.
Right. Nothing has to be demoed or moved or nothing as far as land goes.
Okay. All right. I think those are all the questions I have. Initial questions. Just open it up to members of the Conservation Commission. Initial thoughts, comments, questions.
Okay.
Not seeing any. Any members of the public here tonight to comment on this particular hearing?
Hi. Can you hear me?
And I'm not seeing any.
I think I heard someone trying to speak, Brian.
Yeah, no, this is Jeff Bursaw. I could hear you folks, but you couldn't hear me. Can I wait online till you folks have time and maybe we can address this tonight?
Sure. Oh, are you, you're 27 Millbrook. Yes, absolutely.
I can hear you all, but you couldn't hear me. I'm sure I was doing something wrong.
It happens.
Can I sit quietly and wait?
You absolutely can. We'll probably come back to you next is my guess. We'll have one hearing, but it's probably going to be continued.
Whatever it is, it is. It's your time,
Okay.
so don't worry about it.
Hopefully quick. So any other comments on this particular hearing for 22 Autumn Lane? All right. I'll put it out to commission members. I was looking at the satellite photos of where it is. One of the reasons this came up is it is riverfront, is where the buffer zone builds off of. But looking at the aerial photos of the aerial satellite photos, understanding this is just getting extended along the house over existing lawn, I think I'm comfortable without a site visit. But if others would prefer to have a site visit, go out and take a look and just kind of have it marked out the dimensions and see where everything's physically going to sit, that's fine with me too. Do people have strong thoughts or feelings one way or the other?
No, I think it looks okay.
Looks
Okay.
straightforward. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right. In that case, I'm going to make, and I was going to say, we already asked for public comment. I'm going to make a motion that we close the public hearing for 22 Autumn Lane. All those in favor of close, or do I hear a second for closing?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye, starting with Paul,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and Lauren. I'm an aye as well. This is for the applicant. In a second, you're going to hear me propose that we issue a negative finding on this. A negative finding is actually a positive. It's going to allow you to do what you want to do. But I like to put that out there first because it always sounds like something is going horribly wrong. You should be fine. The one thing I'm probably going to, and you'll hear me say it too, is that we're going to say as much as is practicable, the stockpiling of materials for this project be done outside of the resource area. So in other words, if you have materials coming in first and all that stuff, store those on the driveway or the front yard away from the riverfront area, not on the backyard towards the riverfront area. Does that make
We
sense?
will.
Okay. In that case, I'd like to make a motion that we issue a -3 determination for the request for determination of applicability for 22 Autumn Lane with the following conditions: that the stockpiling of any materials needed for this project be done, be outside of the resource area to the extent that is practicable. Do I hear a second for issuing the RDA?
Second.
All those in favor, starting with Paul,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and Lauren. I'm an aye as well. Should be all set.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So real quickly, we are going to move on to the high school, or what is it? 12 Green Road. That's what it's called. So the Bolton Conservation Commission will now continue the public hearing under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bolton Bylaw, Chapter 233, to consider a notice of intent for 12 Green Road, Phase 2 of the Neshoba High School project. Lauren, is there any update on this? I know we were waiting for DEP comments. I'm not sure if anybody is here representing the project here tonight.
Yep, Eric Royce is here representing.
Okay.
We haven't received any DEP comments or file number. I don't know if Eric's received anything.
We spoke to them today. I called them to see what the status was. Evidently, the application got lost on someone's desk. They now have it in hand and are reviewing it.
Okay.
So I expect you to continue it tonight. I don't know if anybody has any questions or wants us to give any dog and pony show at this point, or just wait till the next time.
I was going to say, I'll put it out to other commission members, but I'd probably appreciate waiting till the next time just to give us a chance to see those DEP. It really helps frame some of the questions that we may have or I may have. Other commission members, do you want to hear more of it tonight? Or are you okay with us continuing it so we can have a chance to see what DEP has to say and kind of lay it all out in one meeting better?
I'm okay with continuing. Did you have a site visit for this, Brian?
We have not for phase 2. We did do one for phase 1. And I know I talked to Rebecca. I think we even mentioned to people in the field that day that we'd probably do one for phase 2. We'd probably ask for one for phase 2 as well, because we'd want to see certain things marked out as to where they would be. I ask them to mark out everything is possible, but I think seeing the DEP comments and seeing and it might just give us a better idea of what we might ask them to mark out in the field. Mm-hmm. This is one, and Rebecca might correct me on this one, Eric. I would say if we get DEP comments in, we have a chance to read through them, we might be able to reach out, try to set up a site visit before our next meeting.
Okay.
I'm not sure if Rebecca's going to say, no, we need to set up a site, that needs to be done in a public meeting. But if we get comments in, we're able to get through them. It just might make sense for us to try to get out there, have things marked out. So next meeting, we can really try to knock through the majority of it, if that makes sense.
Right. And then talking to DEP, it sounds like it's going to be a week out for that anyway. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that said, well, I should say, any members of the public here tonight to comment on this particular hearing? And not seeing any. I'd like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for 12 Green Road, Phase 2 of the Neshoba Regional High School project until our next public meeting, Tuesday, July 2nd at 7:10 p.m. Do I hear a second for continuing?
Second.
All those in favor, starting with Paul?
Aye.
Lori?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
And Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
Thank you.
7:36. Okay, we have a few minutes before our next hearing. So if the gentleman is still here for 27 Millbrook Lane.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Jeffrey, can you unmute yourself?
We had him. While we were seeing if he can get unmuted, Lauren, are you able to pull up the photos of the trees on your screen?
Sure. And this is, I'm sorry, this is 27 Millbrook?
27 Millbrook.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good.
So I'm asking, Lauren's pulling up the photos of the trees in question.
Yeah, Rebecca was out. She was lovely. Yeah, it's more, and I love the trees that are there, to be honest with you, but there's one three-pronged oak that the heaviest of the three, and it probably wouldn't matter which one it was, is pointed right at a pergola, a patio, a large doghouse or shed, and a fence. And it's strictly out of caution that I'd like to take the one out of the three out of there. If the other two ever fell, they'd go in the woods and wouldn't hurt the thing.
Okay.
And so that's primarily my concern.
So it's that one oak, and was there also a maple or two maples?
There's a maple, and it's my only maple in a mountain of oaks. I really don't want to take it down, but it's encroached by a bunch of oaks and kind of pointed off at a 80-degree angle going over the dog fence. I think there's a couple of dead limbs on one of the big oaks behind it. If I could take those down, I think perhaps, the maple may start growing straight up and it would be fine. I'd be willing to try that. I realize you guys want to cut down as few trees as possible, and I completely get it. I'd be willing to try that on the maple, if you would like me to try that.
I think it would be great if you were to try that. For the purposes of this evening's meeting, well, I suppose we could give you permission for just one, but we might be able to give you permission for both. Hopefully you can try to save one. Doesn't mean you need to take it out. If we say, if necessary, remove the maple, but kind of leave it up to you with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's always best, to try and give in. I just, and like I say, it's the only maple I have in the yard, and I really don't want to cut it down. It's more, I'm a little OCD, and I try and keep, the property looking nice, and I know how much damage it's going to cause if those trees come down. So the oak is my biggest concern. I'd be very happy if I was able to get permission to take that one of the three-pronged oak out. I'd be very happy.
So I guess two things I would ask. Well, I guess with the oak, there's definitely no stump grinding. If you were to remove the maple, were you planning to stump grind at all?
No, I don't love stump grinding. One thing if it's in the front yard, but it's not. And no.
All right. So
I had a woodpecker a couple of years ago, pecking at one of my old stumps out back, and it was a great joy to watch. So no, I'm not looking to make it pristine, just save.
Okay. The other thing we'll sometimes ask, and again, if you end up just removing the oak, I think it would be fine just to remove the oak. If you do take out the maple too, oftentimes we'll ask people to leave one of the two as a snag, just to cut it, 6 or 7 feet off the ground, and just let that 6-7 foot stump basically rot in place, because it does make nice habitat for a lot of different animals out there.
Yeah, and I get a lot of them, as you know.
Yeah, yes.
I can't let my doctors out there without me going with them between the bobcats and the coyotes and the. But it's great, I sit out there and I watch the herons. I mean, I really feel, as much as for what we pay in taxes, and I guess a lot of folks in Bolton are in the same boat. When you're on a private road, there aren't a lot of services that you get, but I feel like I live in a special place, and I'm not looking to screw it up. And I'd be happy with just the oak.
Okay.
I think I can make the maple work, particularly if I can take out a dead limb behind it.
And I was going to say, when you cut it, are you planning to remove it? Are you planning to chip it in place? Cut it for firewood, send it off.
Axe Brothers, they would come. I'm sure they'll take, they'll take the log. It's probably marketable. And what would you prefer? Would you? I'm happy to chip it in place.
No, I would actually prefer you didn't chip it in place and chip it in. Sometimes when people will take it down, they'll just kind of chip it and fill that area in, which is not always the best.
No, I get that, because they're blowing it into your territory, and you have no control, or you don't know what's going on there. So no, I'm happy to have it hauled away.
Okay, because that's the other option is just kind of leaving it down, but it doesn't. You're not really it's more if you had deep woods on your property, or if it wasn't an area you were staring at all the time, so just let it drop in the woods
Yeah,
there. But
I mean, I own, like a lot of people in Bolton, I own 4.5 acres and 3.5's underwater. So,
yeah,
um,
yes, that's all right. Yeah.
so no, it's just that. And then I'm taking out a big oak in the front of the house, but it's not in your purview. And again, I
Right.
love the tree, but I just think it's a danger to the house. And I want to take that out and put in some kind of a nice maple of some kind, like a 20-foot maple.
Okay.
So yeah,
All
this
right.
is really the only one that would fall under your jurisdiction, I think.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. So
And I
I
want
think
to say,
that
Rebecca, you know, Rebecca was wonderful, and I'm not saying this to, you know, kiss anybody's rear end, but, you know, as a public servant, she was great. She wasn't intimidating. You know, I deal with a lot of people in my work, you know, DEP, DOT, you know, and they can make you scared. And she was wonderful. She's a good representative of the town.
that I was going to say, I appreciate you saying that. I think that's working with the commission now for almost a decade. I found the same thing. She was a good employee, an easy person to work with, respectful of all the people in town that have questions for her. But it's really nice to hear somebody else say that in a public meeting, because I think people are tired of hearing us say it.
Well, and just, you know, public servants don't get enough credit, you know, 'cause you're giving up your evenings and what have you, and it goes unnoticed too much.
And Lauren can tell you we're cruel to Rebecca all the time. We hit her with all sorts of questions and requests and comments, and make her walk through the mud and the swamps and all sorts of bad times.
Right. And she's
Anyway.
ready to do it, I can tell.
Yeah, she's a glutton for punishment.
Yes.
I think those were basically my initial questions. Let me open it up to the commission members. Any commission members have any additional comments, questions, thoughts on this particular project?
No.
All right, not seeing any. Any members of the public here tonight to comment on this particular project? And again, not seeing any. All right, in that case, I'd like to make a motion that we close the public hearing for 27 Millbrook Lane. Do I hear a second for closing?
Second.
All those in favor, starting with Paul,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Lauren, I'm an aye as well. All right. So, all right. So he was going. All right. So what's throwing me here is I want to just go ahead and issue it, and I really appreciate that you want to save that maple. So I'd kind of take the maple out of it. I'm just worried if you had to come back and said it, well, it didn't work with the maple, you'd have to come
I think
back.
we're years away from having to make that decision. I mean, it's
Okay.
not, you know, we're a
Okay.
long,
Then,
long
all right.
ways
So then
away from
we'll
that.
probably issue it just for the oak, if that is okay.
That is fine.
Okay. In that case,
Now, if there was there's a dead pine next to the oak, can that come down at the same time? I mean, it's dead.
sure. Can Lauren pull up the picture again of the oak? Would we be able to see the pine on that picture?
It's kind of behind it to the right.
Um,
And if you say no, no.
Well, it's just a question of if we can see it and say that is you're allowed to take the oak that we had shown the picture of and everything, and the pine again that we identified. It's just a question of, can we identify which pine it is?
I think she saw it, I think, when we were
Okay.
talking. I don't know if she remembers it or not.
Is it, if I were to say within 10 feet of the oak being removed, would that be
10 to 13, 14 feet.
all right?
You know,
So
it's more lateral, so it's not like 14 feet directly in towards the water. It's more sideways, like a 45-degree angle.
okay. So I'm just going to say for commission members, if we were to give permission to remove the oak as well as an additional pine within 15 feet of the oak being removed,
And
would
it is
you
dead.
be
It is definitely dead.
comfortable with that? Would commission members?
Yeah, that
Sure.
would work.
Okay. All right. In that case, I'm going to make a motion that we issue a -3 determination for the determination of applicability for 27 Millbrook Lane with the following conditions. The proposed oak can be removed. No removal of the proposed maple at this time. And the pine tree that is within 15 feet of the oak tree that is being removed can also be removed at this time. No stump grinding for either removal. Do I hear a second for that?
Second.
Second,
All those in favor, starting with Paul,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
Jim,
aye.
and Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
Thank you.
All right.
And Jeffrey, just so you know, there's a 21-day filing period, so we will collect the hard signatures from the commission members, and within 21 days, you should receive the determination in the mail.
Right, and I won't do anything until I get that, I assume.
Right.
Not a problem at all. Terrific. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Good night.
Okay, take care. Have a good night.
Okay. Next up, the Bolton Conservation Commission will now open a public hearing under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bolton Bylaw, Chapter 233, to consider an amendment for an order of conditions for 0 Butternut Lane. Lauren, is the representative or a representative for the applicant here this evening?
Yes, Tom Schutz from Goddard Consulting is here on behalf of the applicant, and we also have the property owner, Matt Evangelos, as well on the call to answer any property-related questions.
Excellent. Did you, Lauren, are you able, or Tom, are you able to pull up the new?
Absolutely. Let me see if I could share my screen. Okay.
Please, I was say if you don't have permission. All right. You can.
Okay, so first we'll run through the previously approved lot plan. This was a approved plan that went through several changes over the past couple of years and was finally approved in late 2023. This was a single family house, which is shown right here with several retaining walls. We have the septic in the front and a proposed driveway. We have a pond located to the south of the proposed house, and that has associated buffers. Here's the 75-foot buffer zone following my cursor. And then we also have the 100-foot buffer zone, which is shown right here. Additionally, we have 200-foot riverfront area that creeps onto the property from a river that is to the north here. It's only on a small section of the property, and that is shown, and the 200-foot riverfront area is shown following my cursor at this point. The majority of the work is outside of the buffer zone and was approved that way. The only physical work within the buffer zone was this retaining wall and grading. Additionally, we had an area to be naturalized, which is where my cursor currently stands. That's to be seeded with a conservation seed mix, and that is entirely outside of the erosion control barrier and limit of work. So the applicant has requested to amend the order of conditions to essentially change the design of the retaining wall. That is the work within the buffer zone to the BVW. Aside from that, the applicant has redesigned the proposed house, kept all of the impervious surfaces outside of the buffer zone as previously approved. They have not changed the limit of work at this point. The area to be naturalized will still be naturalized within the buffer zone and also riverfront area. The only two areas within buffer zone that are physically changing are the shape of the retaining walls. So now there's going to be 2 retaining walls instead of 1. However, we're not going to be increasing any impervious surfaces, etc., increasing the limit of work. None of that is changing, just the retaining walls, and then some of the grading is changing shape. Aside from that, there is also a fence that was brought to my attention this afternoon that is actually off of the property and within the open space. The applicant is requesting to also move that within inside of the property boundary as well. And that fence can be seen right where my cursor is currently being followed. They would like to move that within the property boundary. So a minor change as well. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them at this time.
Yeah, I guess the one, and I'm curious to maybe see this marked out in the field, because I looked at this today and I can understand you're reconfiguring it. It seems like it's moving a little closer to the buffer zone. It seems like those back stairs now, which weren't there before, now actually touch into the 100-foot, whereas nothing was in the 100-foot before but lawn. It looks like the back stairs are going to be in the 100-foot, or at least touching it, so you'd be walking through it just to get to them?
You'd be certainly walking through the back or the buffer zone. However, the
Yep.
stairs themselves are actually physically outside of the buffer zone, outside of the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission. We only have lawn that would be within the buffer zone. So anybody walking through this area would just be walking through approved lawn, which was the same as the previous plan.
Yep.
And they'd also be walking near the retaining walls, which was previously approved as well.
Yep.
I understand
Well-
it is a bit closer. However, it is still outside of the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission.
Well, I was going to say, it looks like, so the 100-foot is the wall. The stairs go right exactly to the 100-foot. It's touching it on your thing there. Matter of fact, it almost looks like it goes over a little bit, like the railing of the stairs is in the 100-foot, but you're saying it's not.
It's not. Yeah, it was designed that way.
So
by
yeah,
the-
it's as close as is humanly possible.
Correct.
theory.
Yes.
But the retaining walls now are, which they were originally.
Yep.
I guess what's throwing me when I first looked at the design is, I don't know if you can go back to the first one. There was one retaining wall that came out and went around, right? That one retaining wall that comes out and holds up. On this new one, you have two. You have an eastern one and a western one. And what's in between those? If you can come down to that, like in between that little square box, is that just like a low level? Like what are the retaining walls retaining at that point?
It's going to be. It's just going to be. It's just going to be grass in interior of this. It's not going to be anything additional other than grass as previously approved.
But so what's the purpose of the walls then? The east and west one, it just seems weird. They're both going to come out from the house, just creating a little pen there in the backyard.
Correct. And I'm certainly not an architect or a building or anybody, a contractor. So I don't know if I could speak to why these walls were designed this way. But however, just based on how the house was designed, these had to be changed quickly. That's the only reason that I know. Just based on how the house was designed and reconfigured, these retaining walls had to be shifted in order to allow the grading to work that way. Maybe there's a landing that potentially come out here, a door or something that would allow the homeowner to walk out onto the lawn in this area. But again, it is just going to be lawn, no other impervious surfaces. It actually looks like it is going to be farther outside of the 75-foot buffer zone than previously approved as well. So that's just another thing.
I'm just, it just throws, like, I had trouble looking at these plans, just trying to figure out what that is going to look. I know it's two porches now instead of one.
Correct, but
fine.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that is outside of buffer zone, so outside of the purview of the Conservation Commission, we really only should be looking at these two proposed retaining walls. And if we flash back, we can see that this retaining wall almost goes all the way to the limit of work, while these two retaining walls stay a healthy bit away. So we're actually pulling it a bit more outside of the buffer zone than were previously approved. Not changing the limit of work, just changing the design of the retaining walls.
Interesting. Okay, I'm curious what those retaining walls are retaining.
Yeah,
I mean, at first I could see it going along the back of the yard, but this is just shooting out into the yard, like retaining to the left and to the right, and then full on towards the back of the house. Whereas that used to have a retaining wall stopping it. I'm so confused as to why that would be drawn that way. And you might not know yourself. I just don't know.
Agreed. And I think that's probably more of a question for the building department rather than the Conservation Commission.
If it's going to be in buffer zone, because it's all being built in buffer zone, it better be being built for a damn good reason, not,
yeah,
you know,
I was
going to say. And again, all the stuff you're saying that's out of the buffer zone, if it affects the buffer zone, it becomes jurisdictional. And this entire building project was jurisdictional to us. So the whole, like, you approved this already, you can't look. And if you want us to change the order of conditions, I am going to look at everything.
Agreed. And
you understand that? So
if
telling me things are out of the buffer zone, I can appreciate, but don't tell me they're not jurisdictional, because everything on this map is jurisdictional to us.
That's
the property
totally
building where it's
understandable.
being done is so just for other commission members, we have new commission members joining. Everything on this map is jurisdictional to us, regardless of what Tom just said. So I guess that's where I'm stuck. And for me, it might be a site visit. It might help if I can see the box of the house, you know, staked out, and then the boxes, and then the full line of the retaining walls, where they're going to go, so I can see what we're retaining, what we're letting in, because I just can't picture this. And I usually do a pretty good job of trying to picture what's there and how it's going to look and what it's going to function as and how things are going to flow. And I cannot see it on this. So for me, I need a site visit with all this new stuff marked out. And I saw the well moved too. Is there a reason the well moved?
I
And
think that the well moved just due to the location of the house and potentially
Yeah.
where the septic location is currently. That's the well radius around it. You can't have a septic within a certain radius of that. So I think that's why
Right.
it's well moved in that location. I just wanted to just quickly speak. I mean, if we're going to do a site visit, I don't know that seeing a one-dimensional flagged out area of where the house is going to be helping in any case with this one.
Yeah, I'm going
We
to
need
see
to
where the
see where the
retaining wall is
physical
going to go,
grading
so I can see what it's retaining. You know, if I'm going to put a wall here to retain, you know, this from caving in, I want to see where that wall is going to go and what's in danger of caving in. I'm so just
Yeah, no.
confused. And again, I understand. Like, are we moving the septic too? Because we approved the septic in the well, and you said the well had to be moved because it's interfered with by the septic. But I thought that
The
was
septic
all.
is staying in the same location.
All right. So why did
down
the well
here.
have to move?
I don't know the answer to that. I can certainly get the
Okay.
answer to that
All right.
from
So
the engineer.
that's one
And
question.
also, and I can also get some more information on why this house is built like this. Again, I'm not an architect, so I don't understand why the
Totally.
retaining wall has
And
been
neither am
changed.
I. So I'm
But
confused.
I don't know how a site walk is going to be able to help you understand this further. Just
I think I've already
because you're not
explained
gonna
that.
be able to-
I'm not going to explain it again because I
No,
already
we're not gonna be able to
spent
see
5
any of
minutes
the grading
explaining
in
why
here.
I would like to see it in the field, and telling me that I'm stupid for that is not really helping your cause. I would like to see it marked out in the field because I cannot picture what this is going to look like and what it's going to do. And again, I will see what's going to be retained in theory by these walls. So for the 15th time, I would like to see these things marked out in the field. But I'll open it up to other commission members. If they have initial thoughts, comments, and maybe they have a better understanding and they can explain to me. I'm not trying to be obtuse. I can't figure out what the heck's happening here, and I want to see it marked out. But other commission members, initial thoughts, comments, questions?
Yeah, I mean, it's different, right? It's just not, well, I'm looking at 3 additional retaining walls. So there's the retaining wall on the west side, there's this next to the porch, then there's the additional retaining wall that we just talked about. Then it looks like there's another retaining wall on the other side of the house. Am I
Yes.
looking at that?
These retaining walls are outside of riverfront area and the buffer zone. This retaining wall additionally is outside of the riverfront area and the buffer zone. These two are within the buffer zone to this pond right here. And we can certainly go on a site walk and take a look at it. If we can schedule that as soon as possible, that would be great. I know that Matt is looking to move into this house as soon as possible and break ground as soon as possible. So if we could schedule a site walk as quickly as possible, that would be preferred.
Yeah, we definitely can. Sorry, other initial thoughts, comments, questions from members of the commission? Not seeing any. And any members of the public here tonight to comment on this particular hearing? And again, not saying anything. All right. So in that case, Tom, that's kind of the way I'd like to hear it. Well, Lauren, we'll talk to Lauren right now. When you talk to Rebecca tomorrow, see if we can't get this one scheduled in before our next meeting, a chance to go out there.
Sure.
I guess the big things, Tom, would be seeing the house box. And this has been done in the past. We've gone out there and they've marked a kind of like the house is almost going to go here. It seems like you have a house plan. So if it's 57.5 feet long, I'd like to see the stakes 57.5 feet, like exactly where everything is going to go. And then all the retaining walls, a center line for the driveway. And I think that I'm sure the well and septic septic hasn't changed. The new well location seems fine. I'm sure it'll be marked in the field. But that's what I'd like to see is a true house box, center line for the driveway, and then the retaining walls marked out. And again, the full, I mean, they don't have to put a stake every 2 feet, but like start of it, end of it, a couple in the middle, so we can see the full line of where that retaining wall is going to be. Even if it's marked on the ground, even if it's spray painted on the ground, whatever works, but just so we can see that, I guess is what I'd be looking for.
Can I jump in as the owner?
Please, yeah, go ahead.
I believe the stakes are already marked exactly where the home is going to be built. So those
Okay.
and all the erosion areas have all been staked, and we've already laid down where the erosion area is. So
Okay.
within that, I mowed the lawn within that area of where we're going to put the home.
Okay.
As far as the retaining walls, I'm assuming the retaining walls, we're going to bring in some fill because the house is too low. So we're going to have to
Yep.
bring some fill to bring the home higher. So with that said, I'm assuming that's what those retaining walls are. Now, I'm not the architect and I'm not sure why those retaining walls are there, but there's got to be a good reason why those are there, or either erosion or for water flow, or I'm not really sure why.
See, I'm assuming you're right, and oftentimes it is for water flow, and it would be to flush the water like away from your house and right into the resource area, which is natural, but sometimes will, depending on what that flow is going to look like, we'll build in ways to calm it so it doesn't rut, so it doesn't overflow things. And that's what's throwing me with the retaining walls. I'm trying to figure out what are they stopping and where are they pushing it? How high are they going to be? What kind of, what's it going to look like when we're done? You can kind of see some of the elevations marked. But that's what's kind of throwing me here as to why it would go out that way.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, you're perfectly fine. And again, like I'm sure I know you want to break ground and get moving. I just, it's hard to, we agreed to what the house, everything was fine. And now like, these are significant enough changes. They're not huge, but significant enough that I just need to go out and take a look.
Sure. I mean, the retaining walls are much smaller than the proposed for whatever that was, a 4 or 5 bedroom. This is a small 1 bedroom with 2 small bedrooms in the basement. I got a really smaller house, 2,000 square foot house here. And I'm trying to keep within and try to stay within those buffers and be a good steward within the conservation. So I can certainly get a quick answer. I've been trying to call Rob, my engineer, and ask him what those were, but obviously he doesn't. I don't have a cell phone number. It would have been nice to have that answer to you guys tonight, because obviously I'm ready to go. I'm living with my mother-in-law. I'm ready to
I imagine. Yes.
And so I was hoping we could try to get this thing moved along, but I mean, whatever it takes to take the right steps, I'm all for it. I just I can get some answers to you or get them to Lauren or Rebecca.
Yeah,
that would streamline this.
What would probably need to do would probably need to continue it, right? Which sadly is 2 weeks. But during that time, what we'd do is we'd come out and do the site visit during that time.
We have one scheduled tomorrow. We have a schedule tomorrow
to check the
yeah, it was supposed to be today, and then she called and said she couldn't come at 10. And then Lauren called me and said, Matt, can we come to Thursday at 10? I'm sorry, noon today, and Thursday at 10. So we have a site visit scheduled. So I mean, I'm not sure if you're available, if you have a full-time job or what have you, but it'd be nice to have everyone there so that we can streamline this thing and try to get. I'd like to get the permit ready to go before the 1st, because there's a lot of bylaws that have come into and I want to pull that permit, at least have it before the deadline. And you're putting me 2 weeks, which might, I'm not sure where that falls, but it might be might bring me into, it might be over the deadline of July. So I was hoping maybe between Rebecca and Lauren, they could help me get this thing, at least so I can get the well, get potable water, so I can permit full. And I mean, if it's just the retaining wall that you need to see, everything's marked. We marked the fence, we marked the well, we marked the septic, I even stayed within the plot plan of the area with my lawnmower so that it would be easier for conservation to see, okay, this is where we're in. I didn't touch anything in anything within the buffer zone. As far as I know, hopefully I stayed within the erosion area, which I've already laid down so that we can start this process. I was hoping maybe you or whoever would make the biggest decision to take a look at that tomorrow.
So,
and sorry, I just want to jump in, Brian. Just want to mention, Matt, the site visit isn't for tomorrow, it's for Thursday because the town hall's closed tomorrow. So Thursday, he means the 20th for 10 a.m. Now, I don't want to speak for the commission, but I know typically you all work during the day. So our site visits when you join are in the afternoon. I don't know if maybe that's something we could schedule for later in the afternoon on Thursday. I would also have to check with Rebecca's schedule to see if she's available at that time too. So we can move forward that way.
I think she's scheduled at 10 already. But if we need to make it in the afternoon so that one of the whoever would be able to come, that would be fine. Unfortunately, I can't be there we're going to Switzerland to visit my daughter's playing the USA hockey team, so we're heading.
Nice.
So we won't be back, but my builder will certainly meet you or whoever else that would make that decision. So I'm hoping we can get that permit ready by the time we get back. So
Lauren, why
Yes.
don't we keep it for Thursday at 10 right now? I do, or my boss will probably kill me because I usually I get some site visits off and on, but why don't I see if I can move some things around on Thursday? So if I can join her Thursday morning. Jim, Paul, I don't know if either of you are around or can make it out there. Lori, I know you're oftentimes quite busy, but if you're around on Thursday around 10, see if we can't make that happen this week, just to go out and take a look at all of that. The thing is, Matt, we'd need to continue until our next meeting just to get some of the answers to those things. What
I mean, I can, excuse me, Brian, I
go ahead,
can
please.
I can have Rob from Cornerstone Engineering stake out wherever you want us to stake out, probably within the time frame that I need to try to get that permit within. I mean, can I pull the permit before like everything gets approved? And no. Is that allowed?
So here was my question, and this is the one that's killing me, because I'm curious if any of the people on here tonight that work in this industry, Lauren, you probably wouldn't know. This is the one that kills me if I had Rebecca here, because you currently have an order of conditions to build the house as it was originally planned, and we're looking to amend that order. In theory, you have an order of conditions that allows you to start work, to put in the erosion controls, which is what you were doing, right? To start doing things like digging the well, or start digging a foundation based on like the original foundation. In theory, I think a lot of that work can still progress under the current order of conditions before the new one would trumpet saying, oh, we're making changes to that order. That would be my understanding. I know Tom's on here. I don't know if that's your, and Lauren, I know you're
I have
relatively
to
new
jump in on
Tom.
that one, because the erosion, so the way it works is you need to have the site, once the order of conditions is recorded, you then have the site visit for the erosion controls. And once that's approved, then work could start. But in this case, if we're looking to amend the order of conditions, you're kind of starting the process over again. So those erosion controls are going to change based on the changes of this new plan. So either way, we would need to wait to have if they are amending the order of conditions, that would first need to be recorded before the new erosion controls could even be approved to begin the work. Does that make sense?
Lauren, if I may quickly.
Yeah.
The erosion controls are exactly the same. The limit of work is not changing at all. So those would be the same as the previously approved plan.
All right. So in theory, and again, we should probably check with Rebecca, but in theory, if you were to, when we go over to do the site visit, if she could approve the erosion controls, in theory, you could start working on your old order of conditions, which has been improved, until a new order of conditions trumps it.
I would agree with that.
Right.
We have a valid order of conditions for 3 years for the building of the house on the lot. So I would agree
Right.
that we would be able to theoretically break ground on at least something, whether it's the septic system, because that's not being changed at all.
Correct.
Or at least just the erosion control and the mowing and general maintenance of the lot itself.
Right. That would be my understanding. So like a lot of things could move and you could start stockpiling and start a lot of those things.
That sounds good. I mean, I could talk to the builder on Thursday with Rebecca. Oh, I'm not there, but Rebecca can speak with him and see if we can at least get the well, so I can get potable water to pull that permit. But I'm kind of confused now at this point.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it can be a little confusing.
I was just assuming that the house was a smaller house and there shouldn't be. We just streamline right through. But
not in any way accusing you of this, Matt, but oftentimes, we get plans. Great. Oh, we have to make a field amendment or a minor change to them. And we've gone out and it's like, oh, that minor change totally ruins everything we were trying to do. Or like, it's just on, again, if they're trying to change the flow of the water, that's great. But, we were trying to set the flow of the water a certain way and they may be completely changing that. That's, you know, the smaller house is great, staying within where we originally planned it. It's all wonderful. It's just a question of, I just can't picture the hydrology in my head to see how they have it set up, that I just need to see it before we can approve it.
Is there any questions I can ask Rob, who actually did the retaining wall? Is what the reason is for that retaining wall? Is it something?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it basically, you know, it was an east-west retaining wall. You know, what's in the center is everything just flow down from the house. What the
It's
grade
all
looks
grass.
like.
It's just
Yeah.
all grass within that area, all grass in the retaining wall. I'm guessing, but I can get that answer to you. I'm guessing it's because we're bringing fill in, and you need to have those walls to keep. That's what I'm guessing. I might be wrong. I'm not. I'm a sign maker. I'm not a.
No, I'd be guessing like you, but I would imagine it has something to do with that. I just need to kind of have it explained, unfortunately. So,
Well,
all
I
right.
can get in touch with Lauren, and maybe Lauren can give me a phone number that perhaps Rob, my engineer, could touch base with you.
It would all have to be through Lauren or Rebecca. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
I was saying yes. Okay.
Yeah, but as I say, if they're out there on Thursday, it'll give us a chance to talk to them. And we're really, myself, all the commission members, we're really good at letting Rebecca know, look, these are the questions we'd like you to ask, or can you find this out? Can you find that out? And she reports it all to us. We'll get a site visit report and all that.
I can ask Rob, who actually did the plan for me, to see if he can be there once Lauren gives us
I was to say that would probably make life easier, but
yeah,
if he's able to, yeah.
I will.
Okay.
I'll try to get him there, and Lauren, you can just touch base with me once we get everything.
Sure.
The time window.
Yeah. Okay. For
so-
now, we're sticking with the 10 o'clock site visit. Is that correct, Brian?
I'm fine. I'm gonna try to make it work, and if I can, I can. And if my boss has a fit, he'll get over.
Well, we'll change it if you can't. So if you can ask.
Yeah, we'll try to. But if for now, I would say if everyone's planning to be there at 10, we know Rebecca can make it there Thursday at 10. Let's stick with that, and I'll see if I can't make it work for me. And if I got to work from
Sounds
home
good.
that day, that's not a bad thing.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank Yes.
No problem. Good luck with your trip. Good luck to your daughter, and we will hopefully we'll be getting out on site soon, and we will hopefully get this as approved or amended as soon as possible.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. All the members. Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for 0 Butternut Lane, map 6.E parcel 37 until our next public hearing, Tuesday, July 2nd at 7:20 p.m. Do I hear a second for continuing?
Second.
All right. All those in favor, starting with Paul,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and Lauren. I'm an aye as well. Okay. Sorry, just going through our agenda. Next on our agenda was the request for a certificate of compliance for 283 Wattaquatic Hill Road. Rebecca was scheduled to go out, do the site visit, make sure that they're in compliance with everything on the order of conditions. Unfortunately, she had to take some sick days. Sounds a lot better now, which is great, but she has not had a chance to go out there yet, so she has nothing to report yet. That said, I would say we'll just table the vote until our next meeting, because generally speaking, we won't release until there has been a site visit to confirm everything's in compliance. And that I don't need to vote to continue that, if I'm correct, Lauren, right? That is just okay. So we'll probably take no action on that tonight. Just waiting to hear the site visit and if everything's into compliance. We already discussed the right of first refusal. Is Samantha here tonight, Lauren? Samantha Basilate? I'm going to get her name right if she's here.
Yep, she's here.
Hi, Samantha. Oh, can you unmute her, or is she able to hear?
Yeah, do you want to unmute yourself, Sam? Here we go.
It's Beausoleil, just for the record.
Beausoleil. Thank you. Sorry, I was reading quick. Beausoleil. We'll get that straight from here. And and you said it's Sam. Well, it says Sam on yours, so you go by Sam. So for other members of the commission, Sam Beausoleil is a member here in town. You probably saw it in your packet, her resume and cover letter and interest in joining the Conservation Commission, for which I am truly grateful. Looking at your resume and your cover letter, well, I was going to say we already have one farmer in Lori, but other than Lori, I think you would probably be you have the second most relevant amount of experience for conservation. I know you definitely have more practical experience than I do. I saw no reason why we wouldn't put Sam forward for the select board to hopefully put her onto the Conservation Commission. But commission members have any thoughts, questions for Sam, comments? Want to warn her away from it? Yeah, no.
That sounds great. Welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, so that said, I'm going to call for a roll call vote. Lauren, help me. I basically, we have to recommend to the select board, right?
That sounds right to me.
Right, because if I remember correctly, technically the select board has to vote you in, but they go by our recommendation. So I'm going to call for a roll call vote. All those in favor of us putting Sam Beausoleil forward to the select board for Conservation Commission membership, please say aye. Please say aye. Starting with Paul.
Aye.
Lori.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
And Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
Thank you.
So Sam, I was going to say the select board's changed a little bit in recent years as the members that were on there, but I know a few years back they used to just kind of sign off on these. Now, oftentimes they'll ask to actually meet the person. So they might ask you to go to a select board meeting so they can meet you and say hi and hopefully just officially approve you. But I genuinely appreciate your willingness to volunteer. I hope it is a positive for you as much as I complain. It's generally speaking a huge positive for me. There's nothing more fun than tromping through people's backyards when it's raining out, cold. It's great.
I'm kind of used to it, honestly.
That is excellent. That is a good attitude. All right. That said, good luck. Hopefully we'll have you on at our next meeting. And I'll ask Lauren, if possible, now that we have recommended Sam's membership, is it possible to add her onto Concom emails or any of the emails where we're trying to figure out site visits and times, if just in case?
Yeah,
I was
I'll
going to say
check with
official
Rebecca.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, she would know better. So no, we're not open tomorrow, but Thursday I'll check in with her about that.
All right. Excellent.
And Sam, I think we have your email, I think. Yes, we must. So we'll get in touch with you about, getting on the Concom emails sooner or later.
Yeah, if not, I can definitely reach out with it. I think Rebecca does have my email.
Okay.
We'll find you.
I'm not hard to find.
I was going to say, yeah, Bolton's not that big of a town. It's a fascinating town, but it's not that big. Okay. Let's see what is up next. I think, as far as all the enforcement orders go, talking to Rebecca today, there are no updates. Everything is kind of still where it was. The Learn to Fish program is a month from today, not today. It is a month from today on July 18th. That is still going off, co-hosted by Mass Wildlife. I don't see any other updates that we need to go through. Lauren, is there anything I'm missing?
I think we covered it all.
Right. And we actually did manage to hear both hearings that we had tabled, right?
Yes, we did.
Excellent. All right. That said, any members of the Conservation Commission have any new business, anything they would like to bring up, talk about? Seeing nothing. All right. I'd like to make a motion that we hereby adjourn the Tuesday, June 18th, 2024 meeting of the Bolton Conservation Commission. Do I hear a second for adjourning?
Second.
All those in favor, starting with Paul?
Aye.
Lori?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
and Lauren, I'm an I as well.
Mhm. Thank you very much.
We will see you all in 2 weeks, if not before. Hopefully, I'll see some of you on Thursday because I'm going to try to be there. Should be fun. Should be hot. So
Yeah.
hydrate. Take care, everyone.
All right.
Okay, have a good week.
See you later.
Good night.
Bye-bye.